Hey, what's up, everyone? I just want to come on and give a real quick update. I wanted to address a newspaper article that was just published that raised some questions about its intent and accuracy. First, I welcome journalism. I welcome the role it plays in informing our community, as well as holding public officials accountable. But what I don't welcome is subtle framing designed to create a narrative that isn't there. First, the article, every time my name was mentioned, my job was also referenced, and you might think, like, what's the big deal about that? I do have a job outside of city council, but whenever my other council members were mentioned, their job nor job titles were also included, and so I just have to ask why. And I think it's written and what's unwritten that tries to implicate something that isn't there. And so another thing too is they attributed a quote to me that was inaccurate, and I didn't even say.
I was already aware of it, and I know that Chief Duran has been working actively behind the scenes to get all the information that we need. Always try to mitigate the situation and see where we go from there. So it's not falling on deaf ears. We're on top of it. Obviously, I'm disengaging at this point in a couple weeks, but certainly staff and our council has been active behind the scenes working and trying to get as much information as we can. All right.
So I just want to make it clear. When I'm on the dais at every city council meeting, I represent Brawley. My commitment, first and foremost, is to our city, period, full stop. Every decision I make is for what I believe is the best interest of our community. I've said this in previous meetings. I even opened up an investigation into myself to ensure that my role as a council member does not conflict with my job. And you guys are, I'm sure, accustomed to where, whispers where people say things and they seem to say it everyone but you, and so I know there's been talks and concerns that were brought up even to our mayor regarding, my employment and if it conflicts with this position and this dual role. I don't want to dance around it, and so I've talked to the mayor if we can direct city attorney. Maybe I'm playing with fire, but Bill, if you could we can address it if my role, my employment conflicts with this role, and if we have to loop in FPPC or even the AG. I know there's some resources, or even the Register of Voters. Now let's talk about the headline of that article, and that's Behavioral Health Services Substance Abuse Clinic that is being discussed. First, we're in the very early stages. Council was just apprised of this about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and we've spent the time with administration working on gathering information, asking questions, and preparing for thoughtful discussions. We also wanted to wait to, perhaps have something more public until our new incoming council were seated to ensure thoughtful discussions, to ensure their inputs and thoughts were included. Because like I said, it's very early. Decisions still have to be made to get to the point where it would become a reality if it were to, and that's at the very minimum half a year away, and even that decision would not even be made by the city council. Now, we talked about journalism, my job, behavioral health services, a clinic, but I think at the core of this, and something I really want to focus on with this update, is an issue that's been plaguing our city for far too long, and that's drug abuse and addiction. And one thing I won't stand for during this is for this issue to be politicized. Drug abuse and addiction is far too personal for many Brawley families and individuals. Lives have been lost, lives of friends and family that I know on a personal level have been impacted by this. And I know there are some with genuine concerns and fears, and I respect that, and I hear you, and I wish, I can't explain it, but I know when you're being genuine. I know when you're being real and you're coming forth with these, and I hope you can continue to reach out to me, other council members, administration, or even behavioral health services directly to address them. Because whether this center happens or not, there's many barriers that would prevent it from behavioral health either choosing not to move forward with an application, their application even being denied outright, or even the Board of Supervisors just rejecting their funding. This is an opportunity, a real chance to have an honest and open conversation about addiction in our city. This is a moment that can lead to solutions. Addiction isn't just public policy, nor on city council or governing bodies. It's one that involves everyone in every perspective, from public service, to nonprofits, to faith-based organizations, to the private sector, to public safety, and everything in between. And although they are leaving, my current council deserves credit for bringing attention to this issue over the last 2 years.
Raleigh City Council has unanimously approved a letter requesting that illegal fentanyl be declared a county-wide public health crisis. According to the CDC, fentanyl is the #1 killer of people between the ages of 18 and 45. And in Imperial County, the City Council says recent data shows Westmoreland, Niland, and Brawley have the highest rate of adult overdose deaths. The
purpose of today is to really bring awareness to a really hot topic amongst our community. It's been a hot topic amongst our community, but not always do we know enough about it. And that is fentanyl. But what is fentanyl besides just a drug that maybe some of us just know we...
Important because it's better to start educating somebody when they're young, you know, and I think the school system knows this. I think as parents we know that. I think the community knows that. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to inspire the next generation, either to become law enforcement officers or just to become model citizens.
Safe. The crime prevention program will help enhance other programs with Brawley PD. That includes the Police Explorer program for high school students, Neighborhood Watch, Brawley Cleanup, and fentanyl prevention at schools.
My name is Dr. Jeffrey Osborne. I'm from San Diego State University, where I'm full-time at our Calexico location. I'm an assistant professor of criminal justice. I am the graduate program advisor for our Homeland Security program, and I am the co-director of our SDSU Regional Resilience Lab that we have at SDSU IV. And so I'm speaking to help introduce this new partnership we have with SDSU and the Brawley Police Department. What it's going to emphasize is how we can address issues of violent offenses, of youth offenses, as well as fentanyl-related issues. It must be stated that this is unusual for a department of his size to have the ideas that he has. To be more modern with the approach of how evidence-based practices can enhance limited resources in an agency, and how to use outside agencies like SDSU to help increase all these community relationships. As we know, the whole community benefits when law enforcement are able to effectively do their job.
I commend my city council for bringing attention to this. I don't know any other governing body that has done so like the one we have now. I'm also aware not any single clinic nor initiative is going to solve the drug abuse and addiction crisis in our valley. This is going to require all of us to shine a light on the darkness that addiction brings. It's going to require sustained effort. Whether this moves forward or not, we shouldn't just forget about drug abuse and addiction until something similar comes around. We have to stay focused and keep working towards addressing this. It's going to require shared commitment. Once again, I mentioned all those involved that need to be at the table to continue this work. And it's going to require the determination from our community leaders so people can get an opportunity at redemption, a second chance at life. I was afforded the opportunity and the privilege to do so, and I hope so many others do as well. Thank you.